Many of you have heard me advised to be loving what arises. Whether something's arising in the emotional body, and it's an emotion that is present for you, loving that, or whether it's a situation that is arising, loving that, whether it's some thoughts that are arising, loving that. Whatever it is, we want to be fully present to it. When we say loving what arises, we're not talking about being thrilled to have it present. We're not talking about liking it even necessarily. What we want to understand is that the energy, that subtle energy that we experience when we turn our awareness to the heart space, that energy, that peacefulness, that subtle bliss, that energy is the energy of love. And so what we're talking about is sending the energy of love to whatever arises. We're not talking about trying to convince the mind to like something it doesn't like. We're not talking about pretending to be loving. We're talking about taking a pause by first centering. When we first center, then we can bring that greater awareness that we develop in meditation. And we can send that subtle energy, that light and love to whatever it is. If it's something physical in the body, say a sensation, say we've twisted an ankle, and there's a tenderness or swelling or pain, we can take that energy and send it to that. It's not that we're encouraging pain, it's not that we're encouraging accidents, it is that we are loving what arises in the sense of sending energy to it and sending that high vibration to it. That is extremely healing. So in order for us to be utilizing the potential that we're developing as we meditate, we want to understand that the heart centering process first brings us to presence. It brings us to the moment. It brings us to a greater awareness of what is. And it gives us that pause that can allow us then to send that energy, to send that light and love. And that creates tremendous healing, whether it's on the physical level, whether it's on the emotional level, whether it's on the mental level, whether it's some habit that we're trying to lose. If we can heart center and become fully present to it, and then send that peace, send that subtle bliss, send that to that, it transforms everything. It transforms our perception of it. It transforms our relationship to it. It creates an opportunity for a different perspective. And it shifts the quality of our experience. The most important shift comes in that as we do this practice of loving what arises, that begins to be more and more our experience. As we center and we become aware of that energy within the fabric of our own being, that's when there begins to be a shift in our sense of ourselves, our internal experience, our internal awareness, our sense of ourselves starts to shift. We begin to identify more with that energy and that awareness than with the habit patterns of the personality. And we begin to recognize that there's much more to our being than these mental, emotional patterns. That ability to heart center and be present to what is the first step. We need that first step. Without that first step, we can't begin the rest of the process, which is sending that peace, that subtle bliss, that energy, that light and love to whatever arises. That will then create a transformation that creates the healing process, that creates the re-identification, that shifting in our sense of who we are. And so what used to be so familiar, all of a sudden, we're reacting in a different way. We're interacting in a different way. We're expressing in a different way. It doesn't mean that we become less of a person. We're not just pretending to love and condone whatever action somebody else engages in. In fact, it is that we become more well-defined. We have a deeper sense of ourselves, and we have a deeper integrity with ourselves, a deeper relationship with ourselves that allows us to, in very clear yet gentle ways, be able to set boundaries and define what we want to experience and what we don't want to experience. And so it's not a concept. We're not talking about a philosophy. We're not talking about a way of thinking. We're not talking about adopting an attitude. What we're talking about is a fundamental shift in our experience of ourselves and of the world and of life that comes when we're willing to take that pause, when we're willing to heart center, and then from there we make the decision to love what arises by sending that energy, that light and love, to whatever is in our awareness at that moment. This is the power of heart centering throughout the day. And this is a way of expanding the heart. It is a way of cultivating greater awareness. It is a way of integrating the gains of meditation into our moment-to-moment experience. And it is a way of coming to identify with the love and light that we are. And so I encourage you to continue your practice of meditation and to continue this practice of heart centering and to be loving whatever arises.